Hello and welcome back. This is the Clay Golem. This is Foundry VTT version 12. This is my Phandelver world, but that's kind of not really relevant. In this video we are looking at a module. This one is called PopOut. P-O-P-O-U-T exclamation mark. You can just see it there in nice tiny writing for you to make your life slightly more difficult. So what does this module do? Oh, actually, do you know what? It's a really simple one. This is not going to be a long video, depending how much I waffle, of course. It pops stuff out. More specifically, it pops out your journal. So one of the reasons why I chose my Phandelver campaign is when we were building that, we went through and created lots of essentially we recreated the module in journal posts. Now the problem is if I want to run this game, so I'm in my Foundry client here and I want to be reading my descriptions, I've got to have my journal open all the time, and it's taking up space on the screen because this is where I put my adventure. Now when I was actually running this, I didn't use any of this. I had it in another screen, the actual module, because that was much easier. But I can't take this. It won't leave the screen. I can't drag this to another screen. It's stuck here within the client, which means I'm stuck with reading it from here, and that's not great. You know, it's like I'm using Foundry, but I have to use something else as well, and I really have to have a second screen to do it. Yeah, not brilliant. So PopOut helps us solve that. So by installing the module, now if we have a quick look when we go to configure settings, do we show the button? Oh, icon only. So we're talking about this bit here. See where it says PopOut just at the top of this window? We've got a little icon and the word PopOut. Do we want to show the button? Do we want to show the icon only? Pop sheets into Windows and bounding box compatibility mode. So these are the default settings. Okay, and we're just going to leave them as that for this. There's hardly anything to do here, which is really good. Really simple module that just does what it does. But it means at any time I can click this PopOut button. Now this is immediately going to give me an error. And that error says, PopOut cannot work within the standalone Foundry VTT application. Open it in a browser. So because I'm in the application Foundry, it won't do it. It won't work. I can't pop out this page. So what you need to do is make sure that even if you've got your Foundry application running, is you want to be logged in as a GM through a browser. A couple of ways you can do that, of course, is you just set up an additional user. Bottom left here, if you see, I've got Auto GM and Game Master. My Foundry client is logged in as the Auto GM. Don't ask why I called it that. It was to do with some traps and things like that. But I've also got a Game Master account. So if I drag my Game Master account over, you can see that this is actually, it's in Edge. It works for Chrome, it works for Firefox mostly. Sounds like there's a couple of dodgy things here. I happen to be in Edge for this on Windows, so it's compatible with those. Don't ask me about Macs, wouldn't have a clue. But in here as a client, I still get that pop-up window, and if I click it, it has closed the journal but has popped the whole journal into, well look, you can see I can minimize, I can expand, it's into a whole new, effectively into a whole new browser window rather than just a window within Foundry. And because of that, I can drag that right off the page and I can stick that in my other window, and I can drag it back. And in the other window, you can't see it, of course, I can navigate, and ta-da, it changed while it was off screen. So that solves the problem of I've got everything in my journal, but I can't access my journal without it taking up half the screen, and I'm trying to run combat and I'm trying to read descriptions and things. And of course I can resize this, and I can resize this much better than you can with the classic Foundry window as well, because it's just a browser window. So even if I want to keep it on screen, I can actually make it much smaller. Can I? Well, I can close that bit to give myself more real estate. That's quite useful. And if I've got locations like I have for this map, well, you know, H1, H2, actually I don't even need to see the name of the locations. I can just go H5 and get more. So even if you want to use it within the same window, it's going to give you much better control of your real estate. But if you do have dual screens like I do, I have it over there. Normally I have the whole adventure open in the other window. What this means is if I am making my own adventures and I want to put all my locations in, I can put them all in Foundry journals all in one place, and then use PopOut to actually, when I'm running it, to stick it in another window, which is that's a really nice, effective way to do that. Now, I'm running Curse of Strahd at the moment. I'm using a mixture between the original module, but mostly Dragna Carter's Strahd Reloaded. And because that module's already written, I have that open in another screen. And in fact, I compile my own adventure notes from those two sources just to make sure my game flows a little bit nicer. Phandelver and Below, that's a published module. While I did it for this, because we were working out how everything works, and we were putting in, am I going to find it now? Oh, you're over in the other window. When we were kind of working out how things to do, we had things like working out the dice rolls within the sheet and stuff like that. Now that's a good point. I just clicked that. Yeah, so this is something I hadn't thought to check. So if I have this over here and we've got things like, have I got a player on here? I've got Hayley on here. Let's select Hayley. I've now lost my, give me a second, experimenting with live testing. If I've got Hayley selected, I've done it again. That's the only problem. If I select window, it moves it. And I want Hayley to make that wisdom check from here. If I click that, if I click Yamik, it will link through. Closed it again. So there might be some challenges with not being a Muppet. We all know I struggle with that particular challenge. But where we've got these dice rolls, yeah, that does not appear to link back. And that's not a surprise because we've opened it in a completely different window. So these module links, these are like dice rolls and things like that, are not functioning at the moment. So that's broken link there, but that's due to updates. That's not functioning as it would as if I opened the journal in Foundry rather than popping it out to the browser. So just bear that in mind. You might find a couple of things like that. I got distracted from what I was saying. So running Phandelver, while I did this, because we were testing those things like these dice rolls, which all worked beautifully, actually running the game, I've got the module open, a separate one. But if and when I'm making completely my own stuff, I don't need to put it in a separate document. I can pop it all in the journal, and that way if I want to package it, to share it, to store it, again, it's all going to be in that one Foundry compendium, locked away nice and safe. And when I run it, of course, I am going to have that for me. I'm going to pop that out to another window, and I've got the whole of, well, the one I've got popped open is the whole of the Cragmore hideout, and I've got all of the descriptions in my other window right there, everything I need, rather than having the adventure. It's effectively my adventure thing. So that's it. That's all there is. That's all there is to look at. Yes, there was a couple of settings, but those settings are literally to say, do you want to see the word or just the icon and things. Really, really simple module to use. You might find I only run, if you say I only run official modules and I've got 2 screens, doesn't do anything for me. Absolutely fine. But if you are struggling for real estate, or you want to be able to resize stuff, pop it out to another window, if you've got official content, if you're doing things like, buying official adventures in Foundry, PopOut may allow you to then stick the adventure in another screen for you, make it much easier for you to run and control your real estate, that is your playing area. Right, that's it, done. Nice simple one. Yeah, all good. I like that very much. Take care, everybody. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next one.